Hey there, Eric here from 5minuteinvesting.com. And today we're going to talk about how to invest if you only have $1,000. And where do you start? What do you need to do? So first, most of the time when you only have $1,000, you don't want to invest. You don't want to throw your money into a mutual fund and you don't want to buy random stocks. And definitely, you do not want to go into risky investments like Forex. Why? Because A, if you only have $1,000, I'm going to assume you don't have a lot of investing knowledge. And B, mutual fund usually gives you a return around 5 to 7%. And if you only have $1,000, that is not going to do you any good. And C, for Forex, something risky like that, where it offers you an enormous amount of leverage. If you don't know what you're doing and you start investing in Forex, you're going to lose all your money. In fact, 10 years ago, I actually started with Forex with an account of $500. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was in high school back then, and within a few months, I lost my entire $500. And guess what? I had to start saving and start again. So, what should you do with $1,000 when you want to start investing? The first thing I would do, if I can go back in time, is A, join a course, a trading course that you know this investor, you like this investor, and you know he has a proven track record. Second, okay, before we go to the second point, when you join this course, you only want to learn his methodology. So you got to be sure it works, and then you try to copy everything he does and soak up his entire method from beginning to end. Because investing is like a jigsaw puzzle. So if you're missing a puzzle, your effectiveness or your return goes down by quite a bit. So you want to learn the complete method from beginning to end in order to achieve the result he's achieving. So for example, when I invest, I look at technical analysis, fundamental analysis, news, insider, and I also use stock options. If you only use the first four things without using the stock option, you can only get 10 to 20% return in a year. But if I build in stock options, this is where it really boosts up my investing approach from 10 to 20% to 40 and 50%. So that is the key. But if you do a bad job in the beginning, like you skip on some analysis, you do a poor amount of research, stock option is not going to work out for you. So when you learn someone's investing approach, make sure you learn from the beginning to the end. So that will cost you around 200 bucks. The second thing is a trading simulation. So I'm not talking about those real-time trading simulation where the market opens and the simulation opens. Instead, I'm talking about one that has all the data for the last 10 years and allows you to fast forward and you can make decisions and you can just skip ahead in time so you don't have to wait. Now, this is super important because right now you're not very familiar with investing. And if you want to increase the amount of knowledge within a very short amount of time, like 3 months or so, you want to have a simulation that allows you to go through time since like 1998 or 1992, and then you just keep going through the candles, the patterns, and then so you make money years down the line, because sometimes you might be trading a short-term strategy, and so within a small time frame you have a lot of trades, or you're trading a long-term strategy where you're only investing once or twice a year. So if you're doing that, you need years of data. And to be honest, my growth increased exponentially after using the simulation until I feel really comfortable with my investing approach. So the third thing is that you want to buy a few investing books. Now, technically, you can rent it from a library, so technically that's free. But when you buy an investing book, you're more committed. You're using your own money, and then you can write notes in it. So sometime down the line, like a year or 2 years later, you can review the notes and trigger your memory on what inspired you, what you thought was important in this book. Now, some of the books I recommend include Warren Buffett's Way. I also recommend a book on candlestick, especially pin bar. That's really useful to predict top and bottom. In fact, in the YouTube description below, I'm going to share the 12 lessons I learned from my favorite investing books. It's free, so you can go below and get it. So that will leave you around $500. And if you do the 3 steps I talked about, join a course, get a simulation, get a few good books, and I have a list of books recommended below, you are going to be on your way to master investing in around 6 to 12 months. Depending on how hardworking you are, how much time you spend on trying stuff out and figuring what doesn't work, it depends on the volume of experiment you do on a daily basis. Here's a side fact. So when I got the simulation, I actually invited my friends over and I taught them the basics, how to buy and sell, and I watched them how to invest. And a lot of them actually invest better than I do from a pure chart perspective. And this is when I realized, oh, my approach to the chart is all wrong. All these things actually don't really matter. And I focus on the things that really matter. So when you buy the simulation, feel free to invite your friends to, try it out, just play with it so then you can observe them. I'm sure you'll have, a friend or two that are also interested in investing. So you buy some books and you still have $500 left. So at this point, just keep it, because with an account of $500 or $1,000, it's not significant enough. Because right now what you want is to build up your skill. So then go to the bank and find, a tax-free savings account in Canada, or maybe there's some sort of tax-free investing account in your country as well. For US, there's Roth. For Canada, there's RSP as well. So make sure they're self-directed. And sometimes you might want to trade stock options. Like I trade stock options. If you have a small account, chances are just investing regularly wouldn't give you the return you want. So you might want to trade stock options. Now this video is not about stock options, so I wouldn't go into detail about it, but you need to activate it when you start your account. So make sure you sign that, oh, you want to trade stock options, or else the process becomes really tedious after you started your account. And that's it. Save up around until you have $3,000-$4,000. Then when you see an opportunity, then you can invest in it. And by that time, you would have a strong foundation of knowledge to make sure you're on the right side of the market. Good luck.